Welcome to today's explainer. If you follow the tech space, you know the rumor mill is just absolutely spinning out of control right now, with early info on Apple's next massive hardware drop. I mean, we're seeing incredibly detailed leaks about the upcoming iPhone 18 lineup, and honestly, it's a lot to keep track of. So my goal for us today is super simple. We're going to visually organize all this chaos. By throwing this raw data onto our slides, we're going to cut through the noise, build a really clear picture of exactly what Apple is up to, and ultimately figure out if these highly anticipated devices are actually worth your hard-earned cash.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We've got 1. The big battery boost. 2. Design and internal upgrades. 3. The iPhone 18 Pro. 4. The promax powerhouse. 5. Enter the iPhone Fold. And finally, 6. Pricing and release strategy.
All right, Section 1, the big battery boost, unlocking massive efficiency. Let's get into it. So before we even touch on the flashy new cameras or screens, we have to talk about the one upgrade that impacts literally every single thing you do on your phone. Yep, battery life. This year, Apple is focusing heavily on making sure your device actually stays powered longer, and this is largely driven by the incredibly efficient new A20 Pro chip. Based on the very latest supply chain reports, the iPhone 18 Pro Max is set to deliver the best battery life we have ever seen on an iPhone, period. And this isn't just marketing fluff, right? It's the result of some very deliberate physical changes under the hood. For power users, especially if you're looking to create a video in 4K or you're gaming on your commute or just relying on this thing all day for work, this real-world benefit of true uncompromised all-day performance is going to be the most critical upgrade in the entire lineup. Just looking at the raw numbers here, the gains are absolutely massive. For markets that are actually keeping a physical SIM tray, we're seeing a really significant jump. It's moving from 4,823 milliamp hours on the 17 Pro Max all the way up to 5,391 on the 18 Pro Max. Now, you might notice the eSIM model sees a slight consolidation, moving down slightly to 5,567. But, and here's the kicker, when you combine these massive capacities with the leap to a 2-nanometer manufacturing process on that new A20 Pro chip, the overall power efficiency just skyrockets. That's what gives us that best ever battery lifespan. Moving on to Section 2, design and internal upgrades. Let's look at what's under the hood. Now, those battery life gains we just talked about, they don't just happen by magic. They're made possible by completely rethinking how the internal components are laid out. The biggest shift here is Apple's transition to a new technology called WMCM, that stands for Wafer-Level Multi-Chip Module. Let me break down why this actually matters for you. Traditionally, memory has been stacked right on top of the processor, just to save space. But I mean, if you've ever felt your phone turn into a miniature space heater during a heavy gaming session, you know that heat is the absolute enemy of battery efficiency. With WMCM, the memory is no longer stacked, it literally sits alongside the processor. This dramatically improves heat dissipation. Combine that cooler running temp with the new, faster LPDDR6 memory, and you get a device that not only runs way faster, but sips power far more efficiently while doing it.
We're also seeing a pretty fascinating regional split when it comes to the internal connectivity hardware. US models are actually going to continue using Qualcomm modems, while international models are shifting over to Apple's brand new in-house C2 modem. So why the split? Well, it turns out Apple's C2 modem still doesn't support millimeter wave 5G, which is a really crucial standard for the US market. And actually, fun fact, we only know this highly specific detail because of a cyber attack on Tata, one of Apple's manufacturing partners, which ended up getting this internal data published online. Wild, right? That same stolen Tata data also confirmed some really cool aesthetic details. We've seen leaked drop test footage that verifies a new, much more uniform rear panel design. And on the color front, reliable leaker Ice Universe recently shared images of a dark cherry SIM tray. This lines up perfectly with reports that dark cherry is going to be the big, standout hero color for this generation. It's going to sit right alongside your classic options, sky blue, a dark gray or black, and a crisp silver finish. All right, Section 3, the iPhone 18 Pro, the new standard of Pro. So for an expected starting price of $1,199, the baseline Pro is packing some serious heat. You've got this gorgeous 6.3-inch LTPO OLED screen with a dynamic 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate. Basically, it's going to be incredibly smooth but still save battery when you're just looking at static images. You got a massive 12 gigs of RAM standard and up to 1 terabyte of storage, but you really got to focus on those cameras. The leap to a 64-megapixel periscope lens is a huge deal. We're talking 5 to 10 true optical zoom. Plus, these are rumored to use stacked sensors. In the real world, that means a much faster readout for capturing fast action without that annoying blur, and just vastly superior color depths and light gathering, especially if you're taking photos at night. Which brings us to Section 4, the Pro Max powerhouse, Apple's largest flagship.
Now, if you want the absolute largest, most capable flagship Apple makes, just look at the sheer scale of these upgrades. Starting at an expected $1,299, you're looking at a massive 6.9-inch display. But the true jaw-dropper here is, without a doubt, the camera system. Apple is making a massive jump to an astronomical 200-megapixel main sensor. And to support the huge file sizes those raw photos are going to generate, which is absolutely essential if you want to create a video with professional-grade resolution, the Pro Max is doubling its maximum storage capacity. You can actually configure this absolute beast with up to 2 terabytes of space. It's truly built for professionals who want a top-tier primary creation tool right in their pocket. Let's shift gears to Section 5. Enter the iPhone Fold, the highly anticipated foldable. Okay, enthusiasts have literally been begging for this for years, and it seems the wait is finally over. The physical dimensions here are what truly set it apart from the competition. Apple isn't just releasing a foldable, they're releasing one of the thinnest book-style foldables ever made. We're talking a shockingly thin 9mm when it's folded shut. That's going to feel almost identical to a standard candy bar smartphone in your pocket. Unfolded, it slims down to a crazy 4.5mm. And most importantly, all the reports indicate there is absolutely zero visible crease on that internal OLED display, no matter what angle you're looking from. This is that premium fit and finish we expect from Apple. Let's break down the Fold specs really quick. You have a 5.5-inch external display for, your quick everyday tasks, but then it opens up to this sweeping 7.8-inch internal tablet-like screen. And get this, it carries that same monster 200-megapixel stacked primary camera we just saw on the Pro Max. Now, obviously, powering a dual-screen device takes a lot of juice. Because of that, Apple engineered a dual battery system with an estimated combined capacity of 5,600 milliamp hours. That guarantees you're still getting consistent all-day performance. Also, take a look at the security change here. Because of this unique form factor, Apple is actually ditching Face ID on the Fold and integrating Touch ID directly into the power button instead. Finally, Section 6, Pricing and Release Strategy, the rollout reality. All right, it's time to ground all this excitement in a little bit of reality and look at how much these things will actually cost and when you can get your hands on them. Let's map out this timeline. The unveiling event is expected in the second week of September, most likely September 9th, with pre-orders kicking off on the 10th or 11th. But here is the critical piece of the puzzle. The iPhone 18 Pro, the Pro Max, and that ultra-premium iPhone Fold will all launch together in September 2026. However, if you're folding out for just the standard base model iPhone 18, you're looking at a major delay. That device isn't expected to drop until early 2027. It's pretty clear Apple is heavily prioritizing its premium tier for this cycle. And speaking of that premium tier, we have to talk about the price tag. Due to rising memory prices and just increased component costs across the board, a price hike is inevitable. But good news, earlier rumors of a massive $200 jump were thankfully totally blown out of proportion. Analysts are now pointing to a much more palatable $100 price increase for the Pro and Pro Max models. And that delayed standard iPhone 18, it'll likely only see a $50 bump. So bringing this all together, what's the big takeaway? You have undeniable, massive leaps in battery efficiency, thermal management, and camera technology. Especially that 200-megapixel sensor and the 64-megapixel periscope. But on the flip side, you're facing a $100 price hike for the Pro models and a pretty frustrating delay into 2027 if you just want the standard version. So what do you think? Is the incredible engineering of the 18 Pro line or that revolutionary design of the Fold worth holding out for? Or, given the rising costs, are you kind of reevaluating your upgrade cycle right now? I'll leave you to weigh those massive upgrades against the rollout reality. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep this information in mind as we get closer to the official launch.